Now, a topic I've been meaning to get back to was explaining every Ridley variant out there. We've talked about Proteus, Meta, and Robot, so it's about time we try to explain the story of Omega Ridley, talking about his origin, his story, his abilities, and try my best to kind of connect the dots with his transitions between Meta Ridley and Proteus Ridley. Of course though, if you like Metroid content, please feel free to subscribe to the channel as I make Metroid content regularly. Check out my other Ridley videos, and keep an eye out for future live streams. I always feel awkward trying to plug in my stuff, so let's just get started already. Where we last left off, Meta Ridley was defeated by Samus and was left free-falling down the generator shaft on Norian. Whether on his own or with the help of the space pirates on the planet, he was able to retreat onto the space pirate homeworld of Utregas. It is unknown what exactly happened once Meta Ridley returned, but from what we know about how Leviathan seeds work and everything, we can assume that Meta Ridley was chosen to protect the seed on Utregas, and was then exposed to the Phazon core to revitalize and mutate him, transforming him into Omega Ridley. Now as Omega Ridley, his armored skin is now enhanced with Phazon, and has healed significantly enough, though the injuries from his fallen Norian hasn't fully healed around his chest area, leaving it exposed. The mutation enhanced and augmented many of Ridley's abilities, to the point where Ridley was elevated to a higher combat level threat, which is saying something because, oh my god, there's a higher level threat that he wasn't in before? Like, Ridley's a genocidal, like, space dragon, like, how is there a higher level of, like, threat above him? But anyways, side note though, it's not really known whether Ridley willingly volunteered to undergo this transformation, as by this point, Dark Samus had full control of the space pirates, and could have more than likely forced Ridley into the position, but I also wouldn't really doubt that Ridley chose to undergo the transformation, but for now, it's not really known. After the mutation, Omega Ridley would stay on Utregas, protecting the Leviathan seed. Eventually, Samus would discover the location of Utregas and attempt to destroy the seed, causing Omega Ridley to confront Samus to protect the seed. Throughout the battle, Omega Ridley is seen using a variety of different familiar and unique attacks. He can spew out various forms of fireballs and even shoot out his kinetic breath laser. He has access to variants of his ultra thermal flame strike projector and mason bomber launcher as well, and there isn't really any information on what this is called, but he seems to be able to, what I can only describe as, generate and manipulate uncharged Phazon energy to create structured shockwaves, as well as charge his tail to shoot out a Phazon beam and increase the strength of his lunges. He is an overall much more formidable foe to encounter now, but Omega Ridley does have one weakness due to the injuries that he had from his fallen Norian. The wound or opening around his heart wasn't really fully healed at the time, and due to that weakness in his heart, Samus was able to successfully defeat Omega Ridley. Now, we don't directly see what happens due to the camera and such, but after his defeat, Omega Ridley would just disappear in a flurry of Phazon particles, and that's about it. So there's no real explanation for how he would have survived this, but we could interpret this moment in like 3 ways. Number 1, Ridley teleported after his defeat to retreat and heal himself. Phazon itself seems to really grant a lot of things weird teleportation, dimension hopping, trans-dimensionalism kind of esque abilities, so it really doesn't seem too crazy to say that Omega Ridley could teleport. Number 2, Ridley actually blew up in those particles, but was able to reconstitute himself, similar to how Dark Samus was able to rebuild herself after the events of Echoes. So with Ridley being chosen to guard the Leviathan seed and all that, I can see Omega Ridley having enough mastery with Phazon to be able to do this. Or number 3, Ridley just burrowed underground. He can pierce through metal walls, so like, I'm pretty sure he can dig pretty efficiently. Regardless on how you interpret this moment, he does survive, though we don't see him for the rest of the game, so we can just assume that he was recovering from his loss, up to the point where Samus purged the galaxy of Phazon. This would remove all of Omega Ridley's Phazon abilities and mutations, leaving an overall healed body with less needs of cybernetics and robotics. Some argue that purging this much Phazon out of Ridley's system would probably destroy him, but if Samus was able to survive 99% corruption with literally no side effects, then I don't see why Ridley wouldn't survive. It's unknown what happened to Ridley after Phase's destruction, but it's assumed that this is the point where he would transition into Proteus Ridley, and he would reconnect with Mother Brain to go out and catch Metroids one last time for their ultimate goal to take over the galaxy. If you want to see Proteus Ridley's explanation, click the iCard above, and thus, this wraps up Omega Ridley's story. But of course, I want to know what you guys think though. Did you learn something new? Did I explain this well enough? Are there any other topics or lore you'd like to see me explain and all that? Just let me know. I do wish there was more insight on how Omega Ridley really survived and all that, because there's no explanation. He just kind of disappears and he comes back. But I guess that's just the nature of Ridley in general, right? Like, how did he survive his explosion on Zero Mission? He just does and becomes Meta Ridley. How did he survive his fall on Talon 4? He just did, and now he's back in corruption. How did he survive that fall in corruption? He just does and becomes Omega Ridley. How did he survive his defeat as Omega Ridley? I don't know, he just does, and now he's Proteus Ridley. To quote that funny purple guy from like FNAF and all that, you know, he always comes back. Is that a quote? I don't even know. Anyways, if you want to see the other videos of me explaining Ridley, I have a whole playlist up there above. Also have other videos explaining other lore like the Parasite Queens, Project Helix, Nightmare, and so on. So if you want more Metroid lore, please click on the videos above. Also subscribe to the channel if you like Metroid content. Join the membership for cool emotes, badges, and early access to new videos. And of course, member shoutouts to Rose Maverick Sane, Benjamin E. Mueller, Arrowman Allen, Vic, ZDS Pro, and Metroid729 for the support for the channel. And check me out when I live stream on youtube.com/the Metroid Trainer. Right? Is that the URL? I think it's the URL. Anyways, with that being said, I'm the Metroid Trainer. I hope you like, favorite, subscribe, stick around for next time because I'll be seeing you later.